I'm told is afternoon or morning. It's still morning, eh? 2 minutes to come, it will be afternoon. So morning, members. Morning, members of the International Conference, ICBM. How are you? Habari ya asubuhi. Sema nzuri sana. Ulakoze. Asante sana. As I have been introduced by our moderator, I have been requested to speak in front of you. I understand we have various fields here, various experiences, and the various posts that we hold. So I will be presenting my topic related to potential higher education institutions in fostering what we call cooperative education model, global lessons for the next step. Of course, I had many ideas to think about in presenting to this conference, especially as a keynote speaker, taking into consideration the theme of the conference. You have heard from the members who have preceded me in opening remarks. You can agree with me that when we talk about the success of the cooperatives and the success of the cooperative institutions in Africa or globally, we cannot ignore the contribution of higher education, because the higher education is the one which is producing staff, producing also and advising on different products that we see in our cooperative societies. It is higher education that is training our staff, training our cooperative members. And today we have seen a commitment from UNILAK of having a COP hub. And the Director General for RCA and the DG for Higher Education Council, they have commended for it. But we are talking about higher education system that will reach us to where we want to go. So I thought we can have some lessons on how the corporate education is implemented in various countries across Africa and beyond Africa. And simply, before I proceed, when we talk about COP education model, we are talking about training together, researching together, working together, and that is the cooperation that we are talking about. UNILAK and the other higher education institutions in Africa and above Africa, they cannot produce graduates, products that is really needed in the market if we don't cooperate in the process of training. And that is the puzzle I would like to submit to you. So, higher education institutions are expected by anyone, whether is educated or not educated, to produce people, professionals who have skills, who have knowledge, and who have competencies to serve the cooperative societies and the other institutions. If the higher education institutions do not fulfill this particular and noble exercise and the role they are supposed to do, we don't have cooperatives. We don't have members of cooperatives. But we are told universities, apart from offering knowledge, we expect them to provide competent people. But there are puzzles that we still have worldwide, not in Rwanda or in Tanzania. We are saying, are we really producing competent staff? Are we really making sure that in our countries we have members who are competent, they can ask and manage their cooperatives? Answers are yes or no, or we are in between. Answers are yes or no. In Tanzania, my colleagues are here from Mosh Cooperative University. Can you wave from Tanzania, please? You see them where? Clap hands for them. Are we really at Mosh Cooperative University producing competent graduates? Are our staff from the cooperative movement competent enough to drive the cooperative sector? Are our regulator really competent enough to make sure that our systems, our products, and our operations are really monitored professionally? It is a question that we have to ask ourselves. But the answer is higher education institutions to make sure that we are together and we produce competent staff. Another question is, as cooperators, we are required to work together. The question is, RCA, UNILAK, the Higher Education Council, cooperatives, are we working together? Or we are saying we are in cooperatives, we embrace the cooperative philosophy, but we work separately, disjointly. It is a question in this particular conference we have to ask each other. And if we have answers that we are cooperating well and we are doing well, really what we are cooperating with, is it really emanating to what we call mutual benefits? Benefits for members, benefits for UNILAK and other investees, benefits for the nations. Or the programs that we design are income generation related programs in our universities. If we have projects in our cooperative movement are really helping the cooperative movement and the higher education systems in terms of developing training education systems that help our cooperative members, it is a question that we have to ask ourselves. So much of my presentation will be questions so that when we proceed, we will be looking if we have answers. Next, despite the existence of these particular institutions, whether universities, polytechnic institutions that we have, which deal with cooperatives, we have concerns from the public. We have institutions, but we have concerns. From the supply side, it seems like there is a gap between our skills and the employer expectations. Also, the quality of our graduates is also questioned. Our graduates' academic programs also, they seem to be not prepared well to fit the market. These are puzzles from the public. We, from the higher education system, we have to ask ourselves, is this the real situation happening into our institutions? And if so, what can we do? As higher learning, But as a cooperative movement with a philosophy of cooperation, what do we do? What do we contribute to the higher education system? On the demand side, also we see that there is limited availability of decent jobs. This is what they say, and low proportion of employers providing the job training and participation. But we have cooperatives that can employ our people. Are they employing them? Are they employing professionals who have accomplished a Bachelor of Financial Management or Cooperative Management from UNILAK? Are our regulations, as regulators, provide that room in our cooperative societies to employ professionals? Cooperative as institutions, they are governed by laws, regulations, and these are professional institutions. Not anybody can work in cooperatives if he has no professional kind of bringing up. So it is a question, who are there in our cooperatives? Are they really the person that we need? If they are there, are they competent? If they are not, what caused that? So these are questions that we have to rethink. But after reflection, and going through literature and experience, it has been seen that cooperative education as a model can address the gaps and the concerns that we have seen. And how do the cooperative education model address? Because the cooperative education model, as we have seen some of the scholars say, it is talking about the participation of the industry. The cooperatives societies have to provide a room for field attachment, have to provide a room to employ our people, have to provide a room of financing the higher education system. Those years back, for instance, in Kilimanjaro, we had strong cooperatives, and they used to provide scholarships. Where are we today? I don't know in Rwanda. But these are questions. It is a participation. Companies that we have under cooperatives, are they really setting aside some funds for research, setting aside some money to attract some of our students who are doing better in their cooperatives, to support UNILAK and other cooperative institutions which support cooperative education model? It is a question we have to ask ourselves. But in reality, we are told, if you look the cooperative education model since 1906, in some of the countries like Canada and the other institutions, they have been embracing this kind of philosophy. And even if you look the performance, you can go through the performance of Canada in terms of cooperative performance, you will see them doing well, better. But they have invested from the educational system. They have invested in training. So what do we set aside as budgets for supporting cooperative education at our companies, at our cooperative societies, at our ministries, and wherever you are? That is, if you do that, that is the cooperation that we are talking about. Next, we have the global concerns, as I said before, and you see, in Africa, we are blessed. Some countries like Tanzania, Kenya, Lesotho, Eswatini, South Africa, Namibia, they have been instituting this particular model. For instance, if you see in South Africa, they have implemented what we call a technicals, or University of Technology has implemented since 1970 a program of 6 months to study and 6 months of working apart from school or the university itself. So you study 6 months at the university, you go and work, whether it is in a cooperative or it is an institution which is really working. But we are sensitizing our students who are choosing for the cooperative programs to work in cooperatives. because there is where you can see the values. We have been talking here about issues of integrity, of which also is one of the concerns from the public. Are our graduates competent? Yes. Are they really with integrity? That is another question also. So higher education should embrace this. Namibia has been doing the same of integrating learning. But in Namibia, the issue is, there is the issues of regulations, because sometimes you may find that a person who is studying is not allowed maybe to move and go to work and being paid. So this is a problem for Namibia. In Cape Peninsula University of Technology in South Africa, they have also a good choice, which I saw in my opinion. They look for support for their students. 60% of their students get stipends from companies to support experiential learning. 30% of their students, they work as volunteers while they are studying. 10%, they are supported by the Higher Education Training Authority by giving them funds. Are our institutions from the government setting funds for our students to get field attachments? Our cooperatives, the same. So there are questions. In Africa, we are blessed to have institutions, as I said before. In the 1960s, there was like a movement of supporting adult learning in terms of training them on how to establish cooperatives, but also to manage cooperatives. And one of the institutions which were established by then include the Cooperative College of Kenya, now a university. It is okay. Still, the University of Kenya embracing the same, looking for the grassroots training. Mosh Cooperative University, we were there as a cooperative college since 1963, January 5th. And we have been transformed to a full-fledged university now. But we are glad, as of now, we still have the Institute of Continuing Cooperative Education. We provide public training, and we have 13 regional offices which coordinate training across the whole country. Radio programs for the other training, taking into consideration that people from the grassroots, they don't own TVs and wherever. Our training, I'm not saying we are doing better, but at least that is what we have as of now. We have programs in collaboration with other organizations, like a program on coffee quality and trade. We train staff to test coffee, and this is a field which we attract even people who are graduate to study a certificate program for that. So we are trying to go to the field, but we collaborate with the regulator, we collaborate with the movement in terms of financing the trainings. The movement has to choose what to finance by looking on the training program that we establish together at national level, regional level, and the district level. We have Eswatini Cooperative Development College. We have Lesotho Cooperative College. These institutions were there to stimulate cooperative education model. Are we still doing the same? So it is also a question that we have to ask ourselves. So, as we proceed, we have other experiences from Germany. For instance, we have a university called German Baden. I cannot pronounce well. Professor will do that later. Baden-Württemberg. Really, thank you very much. This university combines what we call job training and academic training. And also, it has over 10,000 companies which collaborate with the university to provide what we call trainings to students. And they have also attracted even employment to some of the graduates that are doing better, and they can be seconded to those institutions. If you go to USA, Drexel University offers, we call 2 core programs for students. A 5-year program which, with 3 corp experiences, and 4-year program with 1 corp experience. Here, while you are studying, you are in the 2nd year, you have to go for field work, maybe a semester, not 1 month or 2 months. Or you have to choose some hour, you are given a total number of hours where you have to make sure that you have an institution where you are attached. And you must be evaluated by both the university and those people who are working with you. This is another example. Mondragon University, this is a cooperative university in Spain. This university has 400 students, and these students, they work with companies under the universities, under the university itself. The university has attracted establishment of companies where their students work and get experience. So they collaborate with other cooperative institutions as well. We have Nailway Cooperative College in Toronto. This is also another example whereby students get opportunity to have what we call experiential learning during summer. Carnegie Mellon University also invites students to gain valuable experiences in employment related directly to their major and career goals. And at the same time, it provides employers with opportunities to evaluate students as potential full-time employees. It means what? These universities has embraced what we call a joint training, a joint research, and joint evaluation for our students. They have systems which favor and give opportunity for both the industry and the university to evaluate them. So we have what we can say an acknowledgement of who have managed to collaborate. And we have seen that, for instance, Microsoft published approximately 100 and 800 pieces of joint academic research throughout the world. This is a joint research. They are supported by Microsoft, but they work together with universities. They have also managed some of the universities to attract some funding. As you can see, Stanford University revealed the average industry research income for an academic faculty member is $107,000 US dollar. So what I'm trying to say is that there is a potential of attracting money, attracting funding, if we work together. If we don't work together, we are duplicating our efforts. And at the end, we do not have a strong movement, we don't have competent graduates, and we have also a weak system in our countries that manage the cooperative movement. So we have to rethink and look if we can do better. We have seen that best universities for graduate jobs collaborate closely with companies outside the classrooms. Go and check University of Florida, Oxford. These are one of the examples that you can see. Case studies emanating from the field, they are used to teach our students. They know and they understand from the grassroots issues which affect our people. The problem we have now, we are taking some books from wherever we don't know. You just teach a concept without having real case studies from our sides. How much do we set fund for having our own books? We don't set fund for writing our books, documenting our cases. We have very good cases in Rwanda, cases in Kenya, cases in Tanzania. Do we have books? This is a challenge that we have to rethink. In concluding, I would like to say that higher education actors, I mean higher education institutions, corps, governments, companies must work together and commit to offering cooperative education through the cooperative model. If we work in isolation, we are killing the education system in Africa and across the globe. Our students won't compete, our graduates, if we don't work together. If RCA work separately, not jointly with UNILAK, our graduates from UNILAK won't compete because UNILAK cannot raise money which is enough to train them. The government must also set a good environment in terms of policies, regulations that allow the participation of our students to the experiential learning. They have to set also what we call the mode of evaluation, the universities through our senators, and monitor the process. Second is that the cooperative education model has the ability to address technical and behavioral barriers. Technical in terms of competences, and behavioral in terms of values. If our students are trained in our environment practically, they will have what we call the values in practice. If you don't have what we call the values in practice, you won't practice it later. The value of being honest, the value of being open, it may be cultivated by our cooperative societies. Companies, please set funds. Allow our students to come and work. Give them a good environment so that later they will be your employee. Let us have joint programs at national level and wherever at the grassroots to support our students. Again, higher education institutions should develop curricula that balance industry needs with academic requirements. In the opening remarks, the director for Higher Education Council talked the same. I don't know, it was like in his mind. But our curricula, in our country, in my country, Tanzania, we have seen that problem. The government came up with a project we call Higher Education for Economic Transformation. Now we are revisiting all our curricula. All. And the emphasis is on competence. That is not enough. We have to collaborate because we need some of our students coming to Rwanda as well. We need some of our students from Rwanda coming to Tanzania, going to Germany. Then they come back and sit for their exams. We have to change our mindsets in terms of evaluation. We are now currently looking on what is in paper. What is in mind is not evaluated. What mechanism do we have? We have to rethink. Higher education also should prioritize work-integrated learning in the curricula, I have said, and higher education institutions and higher education regulators should establish what we call framework for monitoring, evaluating students before, during, and after the work experience. And they have to honor those who do better. They have to get good job and highly paid to influence others who are, in Kiswahili we say, lege. Less people. Cooperative movement. Last. Mr. Director, this is yours. And the higher education system should be at the core of driving the cooperative education model, which I have said is training together, researching together, doing what we call advisory services together. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Professor. That's what I like researchers about. They are not talking from those all the books. They are not talking from those all the yellow papers our teachers and the lecturers used it to use in the past. But they are talking from what they have done, from research, from studies that they have conducted. Well, we're moving to the second keynote speech by Professor Gabriel Schaeffer. Professor Gabriel Schaeffer is a professor of business administration, economics, and entrepreneurship at Kempten University of Applied Sciences in Germany.